The colorful mist that enveloped the area was once again dispersed by the shockwave from the explosion. Even the mist far away from where Lin Jing and his companions were located was likewise blown away. As the fog cleared, Lin Jing and the two others immediately looked towards the direction of the explosion. Above the site of the explosion, they saw a corpse standing in the void. This corpse, resembling an extremely handsome middle-aged man, was unlike the other corpses. He didn't seem like a corpse, but rather like a normal person. If it weren't for the fact that this man wasn't among those who had entered, and no vitality could be felt emanating from him, Lin Jing almost thought he was a cultivator too. At that moment, it stood in the void, its eyes tightly shut. The countless spiritual power generated by the previous self-destruction converged from all directions into the body of this corpse. Upon seeing this corpse, the ancestor of the Yin family's expression drastically changed, becoming deathly pale. "It's him," the Yin family ancestor, pale-faced, blurted out upon looking at the corpse, apparently recognizing its identity. Lin Jing, puzzled, quickly turned his head to look at the Yin family ancestor. Lin Jing was about to ask a question, but was stunned, because while looking at the Yin family ancestor, Lin Jing saw that the numerous corpses on the streets had suddenly all stopped in their tracks. The corpses stood there, deadpan, and simultaneously looked up at the special corpse in the air. It seemed like they were worshipping their king. Lin Jing immediately realized something was terribly wrong. He hurriedly asked the Yin family ancestor, "Senior, who is this he that you mentioned?" The Yin family ancestor turned his head to Lin Jing and then said, "You must also know that once in this soul tomb, a transcendence tribulation stage powerhouse perished." At this point, the Yin family ancestor looked up again at the corpse in midair. That fallen transcendence tribulation stage powerhouse is him. In the very center of Seahard Island, there is a statue that looks exactly like him. At that time, Changyin Yuanlei had just recovered from the shock and quickly said, I have also seen that statue. It looks exactly like this corpse." The Yin family ancestor looked at the corpse, his brows deeply furrowed. "I feel that explosion just now seemed like it was deliberately created by him. Has the corpse developed consciousness? Or is it about to resurrect? Or rather, is there some sinister entity attempting to use his body for resurrection, thus forcing his self-destruction to absorb the spiritual power generated, enabling a complete resurrection?" Changyin Yuanlei looked towards the corpse in midair, understandably anxious. "In that case, aren't we even in more danger now?" The Yin family ancestor nodded. "As a transcendence tribulation stage powerhouse, even if it truly is just a corpse, we are no match for it. Moreover, seeing it like this, it seems to have developed some consciousness and is about to resurrect." After finishing, the Yin family ancestor looked at Lin Jing and the other person, saying, "We can't delay any longer. We need to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, once we encounter him, we will undoubtedly die." Lin Jing nodded. Under the current circumstances, indeed, they could not afford further delay. Afterward, the trio quickly sprang into action, rushing forward. Just as the three began to move, the corpse standing in the void suddenly opened its eyes. First, the corpse looked towards one of the alleyways, then shifted its gaze to Lin Jing and the others, the corners of its mouth lifting in a sinister smile. At this point, the colorful mist had once again started spreading, enveloping Lin Jing and his companions within. Lin Jing and his group could no longer see the corpse. But just then, Lin Jing felt as though he had suddenly plunged into an icy cavern, his body going cold. FreeWebNovel.com. It seemed as if he was about to face a tremendous crisis. The Yin family ancestor and Changyin Yuanlei seemed to feel it too. Changyin Yuanlei shivered, while the Yin family ancestor's brow furrowed even tighter. Following this, the three of them quickened their pace considerably. Soon, Lin Jing and his companions had covered 2/3 of the distance, leaving only a third remaining to reach the teleportation array at the center of the soul tomb. Here, the corpses had grown even more formidable. Although these corpses could not use spells and only instinctively used physical attacks, their bodies had become incredibly tough. Now, eliminating a single corpse took much more effort than before. Even Lin Jing had to fully exert himself to kill a corpse with one strike, unlike before when it was much easier. Meanwhile, the use of the green light by the Yin family ancestor was also increasingly taxing, and if not careful, using too much spiritual power could attract other nearby corpses. Thus, Lin Jing had essentially taken a lead now. Just then, another loud explosion was heard. Another cultivator had self-destructed. The recent explosion was the last of the 3 individuals. With this last person self-destructing, all 3 had perished. Of the 3, 2 had self-destructed, and the third was silent with no movement, presumably meeting a similar fate. And this explosion occurred further from the main street, also carrying a hint of demonic chi. Clearly, this self-destruction had likely been one of the 2 demon cultivators. This explosion was different from the previous one. It was more powerful and also produced a shockwave, but did not disperse the colorful mist. Unable to see the circumstances, Lin Jing and his companions could only continue to push forward. After this explosion, the corpses once again stood dumbfounded in place. So seizing this opportunity, Lin Jing and his companions quickly pushed ahead deeper. This time, Lin Jing and his 2 companions didn't stop. They ran quite a distance, even directly approached the central area of the Soul Tomb. The distance to the teleportation array was only 1/10 of what it originally was. But at this moment, Lin Jing suddenly sensed a presence, quickly approaching from this direction. Accompanying this presence was a scream filled with terror. Don't come any closer." This voice was very familiar, belonging to one of the 2 demon cultivators from earlier. Even without seeing the person and only hearing the voice, Lin Jing could feel the demon cultivator's terror. The commotion caused by that demon cultivator quickly drew the attention of Lin Jing and the others. At this point, the Yin family ancestor also frowned and looked in the direction of the demon cultivator. Quick move! The Yin family ancestor wasted no words and hurriedly led Chongyun Yuanlei forward, while Lin Jing also understood the seriousness of the situation. Without saying another word, he followed suit and ran ahead. The trio had just covered some distance and arrived at a wide main street, only to discover that the area ahead was unexpectedly clear. All the mists had vanished. Only above their heads did the 5-colored mist still loom. For some reason, the 5-colored mist had disappeared here. Perhaps it was because of the teleportation array, or maybe just a coincidence. However, the disappearance of the mist was a good thing. At the very least, upon seeing the teleportation array, they immediately had a target and quickly rushed towards it. However, just at that moment, another presence intruded. Then, a voice filled with panic yet also surprise reached the ears of Lin Jing and the others. It's you. Save me. Please come help me." Lin Jing turned his head, looking towards the other side of the street, only to see that demon cultivator running towards them. At this moment, the demon cultivator looked extremely pitiful, and from his appearance, he seemed to have sustained serious injuries. Even the demonic chi on his body was extremely weak. His speed was not fast, and as he ran over, he stumbled along. If it were just him alone, that would be one thing, but behind him, Lin Jing also saw that Transcendence Tribulation stage undead nemesis. The demon cultivator in front was in extreme panic, while the Tribulation undead nemesis behind him followed at a leisurely pace. This, in fact, appeared as if the undead nemesis was doing so deliberately. Upon seeing that Tribulation undead nemesis, the Yin family ancestor's face changed instantly, and Lin Jing's expression grew equally grim. The demon cultivator, seeing that Lin Jing and the others were unmoved, became visibly anxious, quickly addressing the trio. "Quick, save me. Only I can lead you out of here. If I die, you won't be able to escape either." At this moment, he was like a drowning man clutching at a straw. He was trying every means to grasp the straw more tightly, completely ignoring whether Lin Jing and the others could contend with the Tribulation undead nemesis behind him. For him, as long as he could keep away from that Tribulation undead nemesis, even surviving a moment longer was worth it. That undead nemesis was simply too terrifying. FreeWebNovel.com. At this moment, he was filled with immense regret for entering the Soul Tomb. If only he had not entered the Soul Tomb, he could have lived well in the water element realm. But once he entered the Soul Tomb, there was no escape, leaving him no room for regret. Seeing that the demon cultivator was charging in their direction, the Yin family ancestor quickly took out the 5 elements command token from a space ring and tossed one to both Lin Jing and Changyin Yuanlei. Then, the Yin family ancestor looked towards the demon cultivator and, without turning back, transmitted a message to Lin Jing. "I'll go kill him, then figure out a way to draw that undead nemesis away. You take Changyin Yuanlei and leave this place first. Once I've lured the undead nemesis away, I'll find you in the fire realm." The demon cultivator was bad enough, but that Tribulation undead nemesis was filled with strangeness everywhere. If the Yin family ancestor really did this, Lin Jing had no doubt that he might very well die here. This task could only be done by oneself. With the system space, one could enter it at any time when in danger to evade. Once hidden inside the system space, even if one wished to leave, the fixed-point teleportation function could be used to appear directly at the formation. With fixed-point teleportation being unpredictably elusive, even the Tribulation undead nemesis probably couldn't react in time. Therefore, after quickly thinking it over, Lin Jing immediately decided to take the Yin family ancestor's place in diverting the undead nemesis. After receiving the 5 elements command token, Lin Jing burst forth at extreme speed, rapidly charging towards the demon cultivator. At the same time, Lin Jing directly said to the other two, "You go first. I'll lead the undead nemesis away." The Yin family ancestor was shocked, not expecting Lin Jing to be so decisive. Without giving him any chance, Lin Jing took the initiative and dashed out. Lin Jing exploded with speed, and in an instant, he was close to the demon cultivator. Then, Lin Jing reached out his hand and struck towards his head. The demon cultivator, who was initially overjoyed to see Lin Jing rushing over, had no idea that in the next moment, a hand would strike towards his head. The demon cultivator's expression drastically changed, and before he could react, the hand had already struck. Subsequently, the demon cultivator's head split open like a watermelon dropped on the ground. At the same time, as the demon cultivator's head shattered, a 5-colored aurora flashed from within and disappeared. Since he had decided to kill him, Lin Jing certainly didn't hold back. As he struck with his palm, he also condensed a 5-colored aurora that entered the victim's body, destroying his soul spirit. Perhaps the demon cultivator had truly reached the end of his strength, as when Lin Jing approached him, he couldn't even react in time. With the demon cultivator eliminated, the Tribulation undead nemesis had no reaction at all. From a moment the Yin family ancestor took out the 5 elements command token, that Tribulation undead nemesis had been stunned. Afterward, as Lin Jing burst forth at an extreme pace and reached the demon cultivator, only then had the Tribulation undead nemesis just begun to react. However, after Lin Jing had killed the demon cultivator and condensed the 5-colored aurora, its appearance caused the Transcendence Tribulation corpse to pause momentarily. It wasn't until the demon cultivator's body fell that the Transcendence Tribulation corpse came to its senses. "It's you. It's you all. It's actually you all." At this moment, the Transcendence Tribulation corpse no longer maintained its earlier composure, but looked as if driven mad, as though it had received some provocation. Following that, the Transcendence Tribulation corpse burst into tears and howled, burying its head deeply. In just a moment, it raised its head again, its eyes bloodshot, and howled crazily at Lin Jing and his 2 companions. "Why did you come so late? If you had come just a few decades earlier, he could have waited for you, could have left, and wouldn't have had to die." Having just shouted, the Transcendence Tribulation corpse began to pity itself. Why did it have to be like this? If you had just persevered a little longer, how good would that have been? Instead of now, your soul scattered, leaving me to occupy your body. No sooner had it spoken than the tone of the Transcendence Tribulation corpse changed, and even its expression twisted. You died so well. You died because of your bad luck. And I am lucky to have finally waited for the bearer of the 5 elements command token, no longer trapped in this cursed place. Interesting. Really interesting. Haha. The Transcendence Tribulation corpse kept speaking and laughing, creating a bizarre scene. After it finished laughing, it raised its head, looked at Lin Jing, and revealed a chilling, eerie smile. Seems like this is a bit more interesting. This Transcendence Tribulation corpse was too eerie. From Nui.com. Its words implied that the real owner of this corpse, a powerhouse at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, had died only a few decades ago. And the entity now, controlling the body, seemed to be another soul spirit. And this soul spirit seemed also quite abnormal. Subsequently, the soul spirit looked at Lin Jing and his companions and chuckled. None of you can escape. As the voice trailed off, Lin Jing felt a chill permeating his body, and the smile of the Transcendence Tribulation corpse grew ever more bizarre. Even though he was still at a distance, Lin Jing felt a chilling, terrifying aura emanating from it, and his gaze was as deep as an abyss. As Lin Jing locked eyes with the corpse, he felt as though he was falling into an eerie, chilling, and void space. The next moment, Lin Jing pulled himself together, suddenly cleared his mind, and quickly regained his senses. Then, he quickly turned his head, averting his gaze, and dared not make eye contact with the Transcendence Tribulation corpse again. That Transcendence Tribulation corpse. It should be the soul spirit inside the Transcendence Tribulation corpse, which was truly terrifying. Just one glance was enough to control him. It was at this time that Lin Jing saw Yin family's ancestor and Changyin Yuanlei, both still dazed. He was suddenly startled. It seemed that the Transcendence Tribulation corpse had not only taken control of him, but had also controlled both of the Yin family's ancestor. Wake up quickly, Lin Jing hurriedly called out. His call also carried an attack of divine sense, intended to prompt them to wake up quickly. As Lin Jing's voice fell, both of them jolted awake immediately. Once awake, they broke out in a cold sweat. They had already moved so far away, yet they were still controlled by the corpse. Seeing this, Lin Jing quickly said, "Don't worry about me. Leave this place first. We'll meet in the Fire Realm." After speaking, Lin Jing directly addressed the Transcendence Tribulation corpse. "You said I'm interesting, right? Then come on." Having said that, Lin Jing immediately dashed out, heading for a small alley next to the street. To enable Yin family's ancestor and the others to escape danger, Lin Jing didn't rush inside, but instead ran towards the outside, into the 5-colored mist. The Transcendence Tribulation corpse then turned its head to look at Lin Jing, its lips curling up. "Interesting, but unfortunately, none of you can escape." After speaking, the Transcendence Tribulation corpse turned and stepped forward, following Lin Jing in a relaxed manner. The Tribulation zombie seemed not to move quickly, but in fact its speed was not slow at all. With just a few steps, it had already closed much of the distance between itself and Lin Jing. Though Lin Jing kept fleeing for his life, he continued to pay attention to the Tribulation zombie behind him. Actually, at this time, Lin Jing could have entered the system space to hide. But for the safety of the Yin family elders and Changyin Yuanlei, Lin Jing had not entered the system space immediately. Instead, he continued forward. It so happened that the Tribulation zombie behind him did not seem eager to make its move. Lin Jing thus embraced the idea of dragging out the time as long as possible and kept rushing forward. It was not until he emerged from the alley and encountered a fork in the road that Lin Jing, without hesitation, chose what appeared to be a spacious exit and dashed into it. However, just as Lin Jing rushed in, a voice came from behind him. "Go any further, and there will be no way out. Do you still plan to struggle?" Upon hearing this, Lin Jing's heart sank. already surrounded by the multicolored fog with visibility limited to 10 meters. Lin Jing could only explore a range of 300 meters using his divine sense. Hence, he was unaware of where this alley ultimately led. But with things already at this point, there was no possibility of turning back for Lin Jing, and there could still be those bizarre black-haired creatures lurking in the courtyards on both sides of the alley. Even if there were no paths ahead, he had no choice but to keep moving forward. After a while, Lin Jing's divine sense detected a wall at the end of the alley. As expected, this alley led nowhere. Having no alternative, Lin Jing stopped at the end of the alley and then turned around to face the slowly approaching Tribulation zombie. Even now, the Tribulation zombie's pace was unhurried, yet it was able to hang behind Lin Jing the entire time, never letting their distance grow. What now? Still planning to run? The corners of the zombie's mouth curled up in a mocking smile as it looked at Lin Jing. 5 elements command bearer. Interesting. After speaking, the zombie continued. Hand over the 5 elements command token. Follow me, be my servant, and I'll spare you. Lin Jing's eyebrows knitted slightly as he looked at the zombie and asked, "Who the hell are you?" "Me?" The zombie lifted its head as if falling into reminiscence upon hearing the question. It was only after a good while that the zombie looked at Lin Jing again and said, "I'm nothing but the obsession he left behind before his death. He waited here for a very long time, never finding the opportunity to leave. Who would have thought? Merely decades after his death, you would come. What a pity, such a pity." As the zombie spoke, its tone shifted and then it said to Lin Jing, "Since he's dead, only I can replace him to leave this place." Lin Jing, remembering the incoherent ranting of the Tribulation zombie when it first saw the 3 of them, took a step back and watched the zombie with a guarded expression. "No, that's not right. You can't possibly be the obsession he left behind before dying." But before Lin Jing's words finished, a long, black-furred arm suddenly extended from the courtyard behind him. This arm was slender and covered in dense black fur, clearly not human. However, at the end of the arm was a pale and delicate human hand, seeming to belong to a woman. As soon as the arm stretched out, it quickly reached for Lin Jing. Lin Jing became immediately aware of this movement and quickly dodged to the side. Seeing Lin Jing dodge, the arm, as if it had eyes, also changed direction and reached for him again. However, at that moment, a cold snort sounded. "Oomph. Daring to ignore me, truly courting death." Lin Jing followed the sound and saw the Tribulation zombie with a sullen face, looking towards the courtyard behind Lin Jing. Then the zombie reached out into the void and grabbed, causing the courtyard to collapse instantly, and a bizarre creature, breaking through the courtyard wall, was caught and pulled out by the zombie. Thud! As soon as the bizarre creature was grabbed and thrown to the ground, that was also the moment when Lin Jing could see the full figure of the bizarre creature. It looked like a giant spider, with 8 legs covered in thick black fur, and among them, 2 forelimbs had human palms. Its attempt to grab Lin Jing was executed using one of those forelimbs. Moreover, the creature's head resembled a middle-aged, beautiful woman, except its mouth was crimson with traces of blood hanging from it. But the creature did not care about the blood on its lips. Instead, it looked at the Tribulation zombie with a face full of terror. The creature obviously feared the Tribulation zombie a great deal. However, the Tribulation zombie showed no mercy. After catching the creature, the zombie coldly looked at it and said, "It seems you still recognize me. Knowing that I am here, you still dared to act recklessly, clearly not taking me into consideration. Then keeping you is useless." After saying this, the zombie opened its palm and then clenched it. The bizarre creature, as if being squeezed in the grip of a hand, let out a piercing scream and was immediately compressed into a ball. But the spherical shape didn't last long. The zombie increased its grip strength. In the next moment, the bizarre creature burst apart, leaving behind only a ground stained with foul-smelling blackish-red blood and the remnants of its flesh. Having done all this, the zombie then lowered its arm and turned its sharp gaze back towards Lin Jing, its voice forbidding as it spoke. "Well, what do you say? Have you decided whether or not you want to be my servant?" Lin Jing frowned, looking at the Tribulation puppet, and spoke again. "You are definitely not him. Even if you want me to be your servant, you should at least let me know who you really are, right?" Seeing that Lin Jing did not seem to plan any resistance, the gaze of the Tribulation puppet towards Lin Jing softened slightly. He then raised his hands and lowered his head, looking at his hands, and said, "Me? I am indeed not him. However, I also don't know who I am. It seems like from the moment the soul tomb existed, I was already here. I don't even know how many years I've spent here, always in a confused haze, until his arrival." At this point, the puppet raised an arm as if inspecting a piece of art, carefully examining it. "He died, leaving behind this body, and also a lingering obsession. And I took this opportunity to occupy his body and devour his obsession." Having said that, the puppet sighed, continuing, "Actually, after devouring his obsession, I've already merged with it, often unable to distinguish whether I am him or the previous me. However, I know, as long as I have this body and the token in your hand, I can get out." Having finished speaking, the Tribulation puppet looked at Lin Jing again and said, "Now that I have told you my origin, what is your decision?" Upon hearing this, Lin Jing then lowered his guard with a helpless shrug. "I am no match for you, so what else is there to say?" Seeing Lin Jing lower his guard, a smile appeared on the face of the Tribulation puppet. "That's more like it. Rest assured, as long as you willingly become my servant, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. As for the other two who came with you, I'll leave them to you later. I need their spiritual power to help me restore my cultivation. Consider this a test for you." After speaking, the Tribulation puppet beckoned, saying to Lin Jing, Come here. I'll place a servant's mark on you, and once the mark is applied, you will be my servant." The Tribulation puppet, smiling, looked at Lin Jing with eyes full of confident triumph, showing absolutely no caution. It was very confident that within the soul tomb, Lin Jing could never escape from its grasp. Thus, it was not worried about Lin Jing trying anything tricky. In the face of absolute strength, any scheming is futile. Lin Jing indeed acted just as expected. Upon hearing about the servant's mark, Lin Jing hesitated momentarily, but after his hesitation, he slowly approached. As Lin Jing drew nearer, and still displayed no caution, the smile on the Tribulation puppet's face grew even brighter. Just as Lin Jing came close enough, the Tribulation puppet raised its hand, about to place the servant's mark on Lin Jing. But just then, Lin Jing suddenly reached out, grabbing the extended hand of the puppet. The Tribulation puppet was startled, then felt a strange force envelop it, followed by an intense teleportation force, attempting to send it away. After a moment of confusion, the Tribulation puppet realized the situation, facing Lin Jing calmly. "It seems you weren't sincere. Spatial teleportation power. What do you mean, trying to send me away? If you could really take me out of the water element realm, I would indeed be grateful to you." Lin Jing, however, began to laugh at that moment. "In that case, I would indeed be quite rude not to accept." The moment Lin Jing's words finished, the teleportation activated. Instantly, both Lin Jing and the Tribulation puppet disappeared from the spot. In the system space, Lin Jing and the Tribulation puppet suddenly appeared. Upon appearing, Lin Jing quickly moved away from the Tribulation puppet. The Tribulation puppet, having entered the system space, was exceptionally joyful, greedily absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. Spiritual energy. Such rich spiritual energy. Such a wonderful feeling. I never thought I could escape. How did you do this? However, the response it got was not from Lin Jing. Instead, it was a cold, emotionless system alert. Warning: a special spiritual body has entered the system space. Eradicate immediately. The sound of the system alert made the absorbing Tribulation puppet startle. Suddenly, it felt an extremely terrifying aura of destruction envelop it. No, this isn't right. Where exactly is this? The terrifying aura of destruction made it unable to remain calm any longer. Reacting, the Tribulation puppet desperately lunged at Lin Jing, attempting to find the source of that terrifying aura. However, doing so was also in vain. Just as the Tribulation puppet made a move, it became completely stunned on the spot. In the system space, the weather was sunny and bright, everywhere abounded with vibrant life. Yet, in such clear weather, without any warning, that terrible aura of destruction instantly obliterated everything within the puppet's spiritual body. With its soul extinguished, the Tribulation puppet stood there, its eyes dull and lifeless. Even though it had been in the soul tomb for countless years, that special spiritual body still couldn't withstand the rule of obliteration in the system space. As the soul within the Tribulation puppet was destroyed, the puppet collapsed to the ground like a puppet without its controls, motionless. Only then did Lin Jing dare to approach and examine the corpse. Having lost control of the special soul body, the corpse became a true dead body. This corpse, which belonged to a Tribulation cultivator, was of exceptional value, to say the least. Upon arriving beside the corpse, Lin Jing first conducted a careful examination and then extended his divine sense into the Tribulation cultivator's body. Even though the cultivator had been dead for a while, there was still an indescribable charm lingering on the body, and there were no injuries. Only the spiritual power had dried up. After the examination, Lin Jing withdrew his divine sense. In the current situation, he could not afford to delay any longer. Thus, Lin Jing left the Tribulation cultivator's corpse behind and quickly entered observation mode to survey the surroundings. As for the corpse of the Tribulation cultivator, it was temporarily stored in system space, which, under its annihilating rules, ensured that he didn't have to worry about it reanimating. Upon entering observation mode, Lin Jing first needed to check on the conditions of Yin family patriarch and Changyin Yuanlei. Having not felt any movement outside just now, he guessed the two hadn't left yet. Next, Lin Jing controlled the viewing angle of observation mode, steering towards the center of the soul tomb. As he adjusted his observation angle and moved towards the central area through the colorful fog, he finally spotted the two, Yin family patriarch. At that moment, Lin Jing saw that the plaza where the teleportation array was located was crowded with numerous corpses. However, these zombies seemed to have lost their control and were scattering in all directions. The Yin family patriarch and Changyin Yuanlei were hiding on a platform a distance away from the plaza, watching the zombies below. It was only after seeing these zombies that Lin Jing understood why the earlier Tribulation zombie hadn't been concerned about the two patriarchs leaving. It turned out that he had already made preparations beforehand. Now, with the Tribulation zombie taken to system space by Lin Jing and eradicated, these zombies had lost their control and began aimlessly scattering. Lin Jing observed for a while until the zombies had almost completely dispersed. Only then did he use the fixed-point teleportation function to leave system space. The location Lin Jing chose for teleportation was not too far from where the Yin family patriarch and Changyin Yuanlei were. And since a wave of zombies had just passed this area, it was relatively safe. Immediately after appearing, Lin Jing quickly moved towards the Yin family patriarch and his companion. Soon, the two of them saw Lin Jing. Upon seeing Lin Jing, the Yin family patriarch was visibly surprised, quickly leaving the platform in a hurry over to Lin Jing's side, while Changyin Yuanlei also showed a face full of joy, following along. "Brother, you're okay. That's really great." Upon his arrival, Changyin Yuanlei immediately started surveying Lin Jing. Meanwhile, the Yin family patriarch directly asked, "Are you all right? What about the Tribulation zombie?" Lin Jing replied, "I've managed to trap that Tribulation zombie. We don't need to concern ourselves with it now. We need to leave here quickly, otherwise things might change." Upon hearing this, the Yin family patriarch nodded, then asked no more questions. Together with Lin Jing and Changyin Yuanlei, they quickly moved towards the central teleportation array. Perhaps because of the presence of the teleportation array, the zombies didn't want to stay there. It didn't take long for all the zombies at the plaza of the teleportation array to disperse, leaving the square completely empty. The three of them reached the plaza quite smoothly, and then each chose the teleportation array linked to their respective token. when they stepped into the teleportation array and displayed their tokens. The 5 elements command token immediately resonated with the teleportation array. Then, 3 bright beams soared into the sky, and Lin Jing and his companions were lifted by the power of these teleporting beams into midair. The ascent was not very fast. Lin Jing turned his head and could still see the Yin family patriarch and Changyin Yuanlei. The Yin family patriarch, being accustomed to it, remained calm, not showing much reaction. Changyin Yuanlei, on the other hand, was both excited and thrilled. How could he not be thrilled about leaving this place? Next, they would be transported to the fire realm of the 5 elements. The fire realm of the 5 elements was similarly unsafe. However, Lin Jing and the Yin family patriarch had already made arrangements for Changyin Yuanlei. Upon entering the fire realm, he only needed to stay in one spot to ensure his safety. Given his cultivation level, entering the fire realm was still very dangerous. For this reason, the Yin family patriarch even produced a special positioning magical treasure to make it easier to locate him. The 3 of them ascended to midair quickly, and at that moment, their tokens suddenly emitted a dazzling light, causing the teleporting beam to shake suddenly. Then an invisible force surged outwards. After the surge, Lin Jing suddenly realized that the scene before him had become completely visible. Even the still-present colorful fog seemed extremely thin in his eyes, no longer able to obstruct his vision. At that time, Lin Jing saw ahead, at the entrance of the Soul Tomb. There was a disturbance, with one person emitting black light, while another 2 attacked him simultaneously. The 2 attackers were none other than the 2 solidifying body phase cultivators who had previously been guarding the entrance of the Soul Tomb. And the person exuding black light was none other than Taoist Long. The black light persisted, just like the 5 elements command token on Lin Jing and his companions. It seemed that the use of the teleportation array on Lin Jing's side had inadvertently revealed the 5 elements water command on Taoist Long. As a result, FruitNovel.com. Taoist Long was then assaulted by those 2 solidifying body phase cultivators of Sea Heart Island. Although Taoist Long was not as strong as they were, he was very clever. When under attack by the 2, he instantly detonated 2 magical treasures on his person. One of the treasure explosions caused chaos among the spectators, while the other was used to block the attacks of the 2 solidifying body cultivators. After the explosions, Taoist Long did not hesitate, directly dashing into the interior of the Soul Tomb. Upon seeing Taoist Long enter the Soul Tomb, the 2 Sea Heart Island cultivators hesitated for a moment, ultimately deciding not to pursue. As for Taoist Long, after wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, he glanced at the 2, then strode deeper into the Soul Tomb. The fire realm of the 5 elements differed from the water realm of the 5 elements. The sky of the fire realm was a stark red, with the ground everywhere covered in a dark, ashy color, as if it had just endured the scorch of intense flames. Moreover, inside this fire realm of the 5 elements, the temperature was extremely high, and it was exceedingly dry with not a single tree or source of water in sight. When Lin Jing had first been transported to this fire realm of the 5 elements, he also felt momentarily uncomfortable with the high temperatures. Fortunately, although the temperature was not low, it was still not enough to cause him any harm. Upon arrival, Lin Jing first surveyed his surroundings. Seeing no dangers, he finally relaxed. At that moment, he couldn't help but recall the last scene before being transported here. Changyin had also entered the Soul Tomb. Inside the Soul Tomb, the Tribulation passing corpse that had been eliminated in his system space had been dealt with, although there were some others left. But those corpses were unlikely to stop Changyin. He estimated that it was very likely that in this fire realm of the 5 elements, he would encounter this person. Previously, in the metal realm of the 5 elements, Lin Jing had eavesdropped and heard that Changyin probably needed the fire attribute true spirit of this fire realm of the 5 elements. And it just so happened that the elder from the Yin family was missing this fire attribute of the 5 elements true spirit. If Changyin were to come in, he would surely not let go of the five elements' true spirit. It seemed that he needed to keep a closer eye on him in the time to come. After mulling it over, Lin Jing directly flew through the sky toward one of the directions. Before entering the Soul Tomb, Lin Jing, the elder from the Yin family, and Changyin Yuanlei had already discussed thoroughly and selected a location as the gathering point for the group. What Lin Jing needed to do now was to first ascertain his own location before heading to the place selected by the three of them. After some time flying, Lin Jing had essentially figured out his position. Then, Lin Jing directly flew towards the predetermined gathering spot. Soon, half a month had passed, and it took Lin Jing half a month to finally reach the location agreed upon by the three of them earlier. This place was a protruding and towering hillside. Since in the fire realm of the five elements the terrain was relatively flat, such hillsides were not common. And this hillside, being the highest presence in this area, was also quite conspicuous, making it an appropriate choice for the agreed meeting point. When Lin Jing arrived here, the elder from the Yin family and Changyin Yuanlei had not yet arrived. Therefore, Lin Jing directly landed on the hillside and then took out the jade token that the elder from the Yin family had given to him, concentrating spiritual power and channeling it into the jade token. As the spiritual power entered the jade token, it immediately lit up with dazzling light. This jade token could connect to the elder from the Yin family. Whenever Lin Jing infused spiritual power into the jade token, the other half of the jade token carried by the elder would also light up. By then, he would know that Lin Jing had reached the previously agreed spot, as they had discussed before. freewebnove.com. A moment later, Lin Jing withdrew his spiritual power, and the jade token once again became dim and lightless. But in just a moment, the jade token lit up again, and Lin Jing knew that this was the elder from the Yin family responding, proving that he had received his message. Having received the reply from the elder from the Yin family, Lin Jing then put away the token. After that, Lin Jing headed to the top of the hillside to wait for the other two. Lin Jing then landed on the top of the hillside, meticulously searching the surroundings to see if there were any ambushers nearby. Inside the fire realm of the five elements, it was not absolutely safe either. Underneath the ground of the fire realm of the five elements, there was a type of beast that was completely red and emitted flames, which would occasionally emerge suddenly from underground to launch sneak attacks. These beasts typically hid underground, and if not carefully inspected, they were not so easy to detect. However, these beasts had a flaw. That was, before launching a sneak attack, their bodies would suddenly burst into flames, and their temperature would also dramatically increase. This allowed for a moment to react. Thus, since entering the fire realm of the five elements, Lin Jing had also encountered several ambush attempts, but all these attacks had been blocked by him, and not even one was successful. After scanning the area and not spotting the ambushing beast, Lin Jing then truly relaxed. After that, Lin Jing did not continue to simply wait there. Instead, he directly summoned the system and entered the system space. Upon entering the system space, Lin Jing appeared in the spirit field, harvesting some newly matured spirit plants. Then, he planted new spirit plants. After planting the spirit plants, Lin Jing then left the spirit field and went into the alchemy room. In the center of the alchemy room, there lay a corpse lacking a soul spirit. Though it was just a corpse that had lost its soul spirit, its cultivation had been formidable during its lifetime, having reached the stage of bandit cultivator. Even now that it was dead, one could still feel the horrifying, oppressive aura from its body. Having hurried last time, Lin Jing hadn't had the chance to properly inspect this corpse. Now with time, he was determined to thoroughly examine it. No need to say else, if he really could obtain something from this corpse, it would greatly benefit his own cultivation. Upon entering the alchemy room, Lin Jing directly went to the side of this Tribulation cultivator's corpse, and looking at the corpse in front of him, he then started to take action. Of course, Lin Jing's action was not to do anything to the corpse, but to put it right. After adjusting the corpse's position, Lin Jing then sat down cross-legged in front of it. Next, Lin Jing directly extended his divine sense, probing into the Tribulation cultivator's corpse. Since the body had no soul spirit, Lin Jing easily entered it. After extending his divine sense into the body of the bandit cultivator, Lin Jing found that although the cultivator had been dead for a long time, possibly because it was occupied by a special spiritual body from the soul tomb, his body had no problems at all. Once a cultivator reached the transcendence tribulation stage, even if they were not a body refinement cultivator, they would undergo the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, which enhanced their body's resilience. Therefore, the body of this bandit cultivator was particularly formidable in terms of physical strength, even more so than Lin Jing's own body. Helplessly, even though Lin Jing practiced body refining techniques, he was far inferior to this bandit cultivator, and they simply could not be compared. In fact, that wasn't all. Though the spiritual power inside the corpse had dried up, it still retained some of the aura from its lifetime. This aura was the unique oppressive aura of a bandit cultivator. Not to mention other things. If he took this corpse out to the outside world, even if he did nothing but place the corpse there, it would scare the lower-level cultivators who were unaware of the circumstances to wet themselves. As Lin Jing continued his investigation, he quickly came to the Dantian area of the corpse. The Dantian is the place where a cultivator absorbs spiritual power. As a cultivator's cultivation improves, the Dantian also expands with the level of cultivation, becoming more and more vast. The Dantian of this bandit cultivator's body was almost like a sea, but now it was dried up and bore no resemblance to its former state. After examining the Dantian, Lin Jing followed the meridians to probe towards its sea of consciousness. The soul spirit of this body had already dissipated, and the sea of consciousness was unprotected, so Lin Jing entered it very easily. As soon as he entered the sea of consciousness of this corpse, Lin Jing felt a chilling despair wash over him. He instantly felt as if he had fallen into an endless abyss, trying to find an exit, but only finding darkness all around, unable to see anything. He tried to struggle, yet he found that he was completely powerless. This feeling of despair was overwhelmingly intense. It ensnared Lin Jing so deeply that he couldn't extricate himself. It was only after a good while later, when a drop of sweat fell from his forehead, that Lin Jing suddenly became alert and hurriedly withdrew his divine sense. After withdrawing, Lin Jing found that his body was almost soaked in sweat. Freeweb novel .c sigma. The feeling of despair he had just experienced was too real. Unknowingly, he had deeply immersed himself in it. This exploration of the sea of consciousness was not dangerous, but it was the most thrilling experience yet. After withdrawing his divine sense, Lin Jing took a long while to gather himself. The composed Lin Jing couldn't help but look at the bandit cultivator's body again. The emotions Lin Jing had just felt were probably what the bandit cultivator had experienced just before his death. Even at the moment of death, he still had the obsession to leave, but by then, he was at the end of his tether. He also knew he could never get out again. It was precisely because of this that he had, in his despair, exhausted all his spiritual power and eventually perished within the soul tomb. And that feeling of despair, even so many years after his death, still lingered. After calming down for a good while, Lin Jing extended his divine sense again and continued to probe the sea of consciousness of this bandit cultivator's body. Although he would be affected by that feeling of despair, this was the fastest way to understand the bandit cultivator's body. Afterward, Lin Jing's numerous trials eventually completed his investigation of the sea of consciousness of this bandit cultivator's body. With each repeated entry, the impact of that despairing emotion on Lin Jing lessened more and more. Finally, the last time he probed, Lin Jing no longer sensed that feeling of despair. In its place, he felt a slight resonance with his body. It was as if that emotion had already integrated into Lin Jing's divine sense. And at this moment, Lin Jing felt a premonition deep within. It seemed he could control this corpse. Lin Jing then controlled his divine sense to leave the bandit cultivator's body and immediately used the spirit division technique from the Tao transformation divinity technique to divide his divine sense into two. Afterward, Lin Jing controlled one of the soul spirits to enter the sea of consciousness of the bandit cultivator's body. Once inside, Lin Jing immediately found this body did not reject his soul spirit at all. This discovery instantly astonished Lin Jing. To know this was the body of a bandit cultivator, who, even though already dead, should not have so readily accepted another soul spirit. Though shocked, Lin Jing still guessed something. The reason might be related to that emotion he felt earlier. Subsequently, Lin Jing controlled the soul spirit, tried to control the body of the bandit cultivator. As Lin Jing began to control the bandit cultivator's body, he found that the process encountered no obstacles at all. Before long, Lin Jing opened his eyes and saw his other self. This time, he truly saw himself, and it was from the perspective of the bandit cultivator's body. It was possible, completely possible. Next, Lin Jing carefully sensed the bandit cultivator's body. Although the cultivator had been dead for a long time, and the spiritual power had already dried up, Lin Jing could still feel the terrifying power within his body. Afterward, Lin Jing controlled the bandit cultivator's body to slowly stand up. Although this was no ordinary body, this was Lin Jing's first time controlling it to stand up, and he was still not very proficient. This corpse, just like a freshly crafted puppet, shuddered and slowly rose to its feet. After a moment, Lin Jing slowly, controlling the puppet-like corpse, began to walk. One step, and yet another step. At first, the puppet was somewhat unsteady, but as it moved on, it became increasingly stable. Eventually, Lin Jing walked steadily to the side of the alchemy room and threw a punch. Boom! With a loud noise, the wall of the alchemy room was blasted open by Lin Jing's punch, creating a large hole. For this punch, Lin Jing didn't exert much strength, and he didn't use any spiritual power. Of course, although the corpse of the bandit cultivator could move now, it didn't have any spiritual power within it either. After the test was complete, Lin Jing once again controlled the corpse of the bandit cultivator to walk back. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to operate his cultivation technique, attempting to absorb spiritual energy. However, the cultivation technique practiced by the corpse of the bandit cultivator in life did not match the immortal 5 elements technique practiced by Lin Jing. Therefore, despite trying for a long time, Lin Jing still couldn't induce it to actively absorb spiritual energy. Nevertheless, during this process, Lin Jing discovered that as long as his soul spirit occupied the body, stray spiritual energy would automatically enter the body of the bandit cultivator, replenishing the dantian. But this process was exceptionally slow. After several more tests, Lin Jing confirmed that even though he could control the body of the bandit cultivator, he still couldn't use it to cast any spells from his own cultivation. After the tests, Lin Jing then controlled his soul spirit to exit the corpse of the bandit cultivator. It was unclear whether it was because he was reluctant to let go of the power of the bandit cultivator's corpse or due to the residual emotions left in the corpse. Once he exited, Lin Jing immediately felt a sense of inexplicable loss. Following that, Lin Jing looked at the corpse of the bandit cultivator and spoke directly. You must want to leave and return to your own homeland as well. Rest assured, once I get out, I will find a way to send you back to your homeland. After coming out of the system space, Lin Jing waited for 2 more days. Not until 3 days had passed did Lin Jing see Yin family's ancestor and Changyin Yuanlei approaching from afar. By then, several corpses of peculiar beasts already lay not far below Lin Jing's feet. These beasts had planned to ambush Lin Jing while he was waiting there, sneaking up on him quietly. But they had all been dealt with by Lin Jing. Upon their arrival, Yin family's ancestor and Changyin Yuanlei immediately spotted Lin Jing. Then, the two of them swiftly flew towards where Lin Jing was. Big brother, Changyin Yuanlei greeted Lin Jing excitedly as soon as he arrived. After all, he was naturally thrilled now that there was hope of leaving the water element realm and returning home. Then Yin family's ancestor also approached. Senior. Lin Jing greeted Yin family's ancestor and then continued. Before we leave, I presume you have met Dragon Taoist as well. Yin family's ancestor nodded and said, Yes, the Dragon Taoist has also entered the Soul Tomb. Lin Jing then said, To my knowledge, Dragon Taoist is also lacking the fire attribute 5-element spirit. If he makes it through the Soul Tomb and comes here, he will definitely compete for it. We will have to be very careful then. Upon hearing this, Yin family's ancestor nodded. What you've mentioned is indeed possible. We do need to be vigilant. However, now, apart from Dragon Taoist, there is also Li Mingwu. I don't know if he has entered this fire realm. If he has come in as well, then we need to be even more cautious. Lin Jing nodded after hearing this. Indeed, if it were only the Dragon Taoist alone, that would be one thing, but the Dragon Taoist had formed an alliance with Li Mingwu, and the two of them were definitely together. If the two of them took action together, then the matter would be difficult to handle. Therefore, Lin Jing asked the Yin family's ancient master, Senior, do you have any solutions? Upon hearing this, the Yin family's ancient master first pondered for a moment before speaking, I might have a method. As he said this, the Yin family's ancient master paused, seeming hesitant. Lin Jing also noticed the ancient master's hesitation and directly said, What method, Senior? Just speak. The Yin family's ancient master hesitated for a moment, and then said, When I was adventuring in the inner sea before, I came across a set of formation flags. Once these formation flags are deployed, they will form an extremely powerful trapping formation. Once the trap is set, even a solidifying body stage cultivator would need to spend some time to break through it. But this set of formation flags has a flaw, which is that when they're being deployed, it's best not to be disturbed by others. Otherwise, there is a high likelihood of failing to set up the formation, and the formation flags might even be destroyed. What I mean is, we should act quickly. I plan to use this set of trapping formation to control the guardian beast in the central area of the fire realm, and then take the opportunity to snatch the fire attribute 5 elements essence from within it. As for the time when I'm setting up the formation, I need you to keep watch over our surroundings for me. If Dragon Taoist and Li Mingwu come, it will be up to you to stop them. If they don't come, then we'll directly take the fire attribute 5 elements essence and leave immediately. What do you think? If he had to delay Li Mingwu and Dragon Taoist by himself, with Lin Jing's current cultivation, it would still be possible if it wasn't for a long time. But if it took too long, it probably wouldn't be feasible. After thinking for a moment, Lin Jing then asked, Senior, how long does it take to set up the formation? The Yin family's ancient master then said, Setting up this formation will take a little over an hour, and there will be a critical period during which, for about half an hour, I cannot leave the formation at all. The main concern is during that time. I'm worried about them causing trouble, so I need you to block them for me during that period. Of course, if they're not around and everything goes smoothly, you won't need to make a move, and I can handle everything myself. The reason I say this is more as a precaution in case of unforeseen circumstances. Do you understand? Lin Jing nodded and said, Understood. After speaking, Lin Jing directly stated, No problem, leave it to me. If they truly show up, I will help you stop them. After discussing everything, the three of them then proceeded together towards the central area of the fire realm of the 5 elements. In this way, Lin Jing and his group traveled for 2 more days and finally arrived at the central area of the fire realm of the 5 elements. The central area of the fire realm of the 5 elements is a vast lava marsh. Even the air in the central area is hot, with black, hardened rock in some areas and numerous bubbling lava pits that emit plumes of steam. It's similar to a lava marsh. Within these lava pits, creatures resembling multi-legged serpents sometimes slither out, lunging at the group. Since these lava pits themselves are very hot and filled with molten red magma, the multi-legged serpentine beast attacks are secretive and much harder to anticipate than in the open. However, fortunately, the cultivation of Lin Jing and his companions was not low, so they would immediately notice the serpentine beasts as soon as they made a move. Therefore, on their way, the group was unharmed. After entering the central lava marsh area, they traveled for another 2 days and saw a tall volcano ahead. This was already the most central area of the fire realm of the 5 elements. Inside this volcano was where the fire attribute 5 elements essence resided. This volcano also had its guardian beast. Subsequently, the Yin family's ancient master started to make arrangements. Changyin Yuanlei, due to his low cultivation, could not operate with them. So, Changyin Yuanlei was arranged in a relatively safe place to hide first. After arranging for Changyin Yuanlei, only Lin Jing and the Yin family's ancient master were left. Then, the Yin family's ancient master and Lin Jing scouted the vicinity, and after checking, found no abnormalities. Then the Yin family's ancient master continued to climb the volcano. The Yin family's ancient master needed to enter the crater to set up the formation, while Lin Jing, who had to stay vigilant of the surrounding situation, did not need to do so. After the Yin family's ancient master climbed to the crater and could not see Lin Jing's figure due to the crater's edge blocking the view, Lin Jing, seeing that there was nobody around, found a hidden spot and entered the system space. Since he needed to be on guard for any sabotage by Li Mingwu and Dragon Taoist, he had to observe carefully, and the observation mode in the system space was perfectly suited for this task. After entering the system space, Lin Jing directly activated the observation mode. Upon entering observation mode, Lin Jing's viewpoint immediately shifted to above the volcano. Suddenly, the entire landscape near the volcano was brought into Lin Jing's perspective. The surroundings were quiet, with no disturbances, and Li Mingwu and Dragon Taoist were nowhere to be seen. Seeing no abnormalities around, Lin Jing then controlled the observation viewpoint to move to the crater. At this moment, the Yin family's ancient master was inserting pole after pole of formation flags into the crater. Lin Jing watched for a while, then controlled the perspective to look down from the volcanic vent. The walls of the volcano, like a steep cliff. Following the steep descent, the interior was a glowing red, forming an entire lake of magma. And at the center of this magma lake lay a molten python completely red in color. This giant python was at least 100 yards long, its body covered in red scales, and it was currently soaking in the magma. Moreover, its eyes were shut tight. With each breath, large amounts of white vapor rose from its nostrils. Given the python's state, it seemed to be deep in slumber, showing no signs of waking up despite the Yin family patriarch setting up a formation at the entrance of the volcano. If not for the continuous plumes of white vapor from its nostrils, Lin Jing might have even doubted if it was dead. This molten python was likely the guardian beast of the fire attribute true spirit. Though the python was asleep, the Yin family patriarch was still incredibly cautious, wary of waking it up. After all, the molten python looked to possess at least the cultivation of the solidifying body stage. Without proper preparation, they would only have the option to flee. As time slowly passed, the Yin family patriarch also gradually made a round around the mouth of the volcano. Just when the last formation flag was about to be placed, there was a sudden disturbance at a protruding part of the steep cliff below the volcanic vent. Initially, there was a blur within the vent, and then a figure appeared. Lin Jing fixed his gaze on it. This figure was none other than Long Daoren. Long Daoren had arrived at some unknown time and had been hiding inside the volcanic vent. But clearly, Long Daoren had come here earlier than them. Otherwise, he couldn't have appeared here so silently. Long Daoren was very patient and had not made a move until then. Just as the Yin family patriarch was about to place that last formation flag, Long Daoren suddenly made his move. He swiftly formed a spell, creating a black and white dragon that roared and struck at the molten python inside the vent. With Long Daoren being too close, the Yin family patriarch was unable to stop him in time. He could only watch helplessly as the spell struck the molten python. Roar! The molten python, in pain, could not help but roar out and immediately opened its eyes, waking up. Seeing his plan succeed, Long Daoren immediately produced a talisman which then emitted a dazzling white light, enveloping him within. The next moment, just as the molten python with angry eyes had set its sight on him, Long Darren suddenly disappeared from the spot, wrapped in the white light of the talisman. He had used a teleportation talisman. Within the Five Elements ruins, ordinary teleportation talismans generally did not work, and only a particular type of teleportation talisman was effective here. This was what the Yin family patriarch had told Lin Jing. And even though this special type of teleportation talisman could teleport, the distance was not very far. Hence, the moment Long Darren used the talisman, Lin Jing immediately elevated his viewing perspective to search for Long Darren's trail. As expected, outside the volcanic vent, Lin Jing saw Long Darren, who had just teleported out, now fleeing. At this moment, with Long Darren having awakened the molten python and having fled using the talisman, the molten python's target would undoubtedly shift to the Yin family patriarch. And indeed, as soon as Long Darren left, the molten python immediately switched its target and charged at the Yin family patriarch, raising its body. As the Yin family patriarch's formation was not yet fully set up, the sudden incident left him no choice but to desperately wield his magical treasure to contend with the molten python. Watching Long Darren leave, Lin Jing, without hesitation, left system space immediately to pursue Long Darren. At that time, as the Yin family patriarch was contending with a molten python, Lin Jing had to seize this chance to catch up to Long Darren. FreeWebNovel.com. As for Li Mingwu, Lin Jing had not yet discovered his whereabouts until now. He definitely had to be cautious. For this reason, Lin Jing had already prepared the Great Dream Ancient Mirror, ready to use at the moment Li Mingwu appeared. With Lin Jing's cultivation level and the Taoist treasure, the Great Dream Ancient Mirror, even if facing an attack by both Long Darren and Li Mingwu, Lin Jing could still hold his own against them. Long Darren fled ahead. His speed was not slow. However, Lin Jing, who was behind him, immediately burst into extreme speed and soon caught up. After fleeing for a while, the Dragon Taoist sensed something was amiss behind him and quickly noticed Lin Jing catching up. Upon seeing Lin Jing chasing him, he initially increased his speed. But after a while, the Dragon Taoist realized that it was only Lin Jing who was following him. So he relaxed. Then he turned around, stood his ground, and stopped running. Instead, he waited for Lin Jing to arrive. After the Dragon Taoist stood still, Lin Jing caught up. Then, Lin Jing and the Dragon Taoist faced each other. The Dragon Taoist looked at Lin Jing, sized him up carefully, and then spoke. "It's just you alone daring to chase me." Meanwhile, Lin Jing looked at the Dragon Taoist while cautiously keeping an eye on his surroundings, his brow furrowing simultaneously. "Why is it only you alone?" Not seeing Li Mingwu appear, Lin Jing always felt somewhat uneasy. Hearing Lin Jing's words, the Dragon Taoist looked at Lin Jing while his thoughts raced. Originally, back in the water element realm, he had a good discussion with Li Mingwu. The two planned to enter the fire element realm together, with Li Mingwu helping him to seize the fire attribute True Spirit. But Li Mingwu was eager to find Bai Yi's trail and asked him to go ahead to the vicinity of Soul Tomb and wait there. The Dragon Taoist and Li Mingwu had just entered the water element realm and had already learned the situation clearly. They knew about the Yin family ancestor and Bai Yi being exposed. They also knew they had a magical treasure capable of detecting the aura of the Five Elements command tokens. Therefore, before going to the Soul Tomb, the Dragon Taoist had already made preparations and concealed the aura of his Five Elements command token. When he went there, he was prepared and wasn't detected by the two Sea Heart Island cultivators in the solidifying body stage. Moreover, when he arrived at the entrance of the Soul Tomb, Lin Jing and the Yin family ancestor had already entered the tomb. Therefore, it was very safe when the Dragon Taoist went there. He just needed to wait there for Li Mingwu to arrive, and the two could venture into the Soul Tomb together. But the trouble arose when Lin Jing and his two companions successfully entered the center of the Soul Tomb and activated the teleportation array. Who knew that the activation of the teleportation array would accidentally expose his own Five Elements command token? This also allowed the two Sea Heart Island cultivators in the solidifying body stage to discover his identity. To avoid the attacks of these two Sea Heart Island cultivators, the dragon Taoist had to enter the soul tomb ahead of time. And because of this, he missed Li Mingwu. After entering the soul tomb, the dragon Taoist didn't rush to take action, but planned to continue waiting for Li Mingwu. However, after waiting for several days, he still did not find Li Mingwu returning. Until the end, when the soul tomb became illusory and was about to hide again, the dragon Dun had to enter the tomb, use the teleportation array, and arrived in the fire element realm. Li Mingwu, however, was left behind in the water element realm. This infuriated the dragon Taoist, having made plans that Li Mingwu would ultimately disregard their agreement and leave him behind in the water element realm alone. Actually, the dragon Taoist had some guesses as to why Li Mingwu was left behind in the water element realm. It was rumored that Bai Yi once obtained a metallic attribute True Spirit and refined it, which Li Mingwu was missing. Initially, during their time in the metal realm, the two had well discussed seizing that metallic attribute True Spirit. But unexpectedly, after much effort, they failed to find the metallic attribute True Spirit in the metal realm, even experiencing a dangerous incident in the middle that nearly cost them their lives. Lacking the metallic attribute True Spirit, Li Mingwu then turned his attention to Bai Yi. Attempting to forcibly seize a refined True Spirit has less than a 1% chance of success. Yet, for the True Spirit within Bai Yi, Li Mingwu had gone to such lengths, which made the dragon Taoist overthink. Had Li Mingwu spoken the truth? Long ago in the metal realm of the five elements, before they had encountered the metallic attribute elemental spirit, Li Mingwu had told them that within the deepest layer of the five elements ruins, there still were elemental spirits of the five elements. Li Mingwu had spoken convincingly, and the Taoist dragon truly believed him to be true. However, Li Mingwu's current actions made him now doubt. If the last layer of the five elements ruins indeed still held elemental spirits of the five elements, Li Mingwu certainly would not be so urgent. He was even reckless in his search for Bai Yi. Other than wanting to seize the metallic attribute elemental spirit already refined in Bai Yi, the Taoist dragon could think of no other reason why Li Mingwu would expend such a great cost to find Bai Yi. That's right, elemental spirits can be seized, even if they have already been refined. However, the conditions to seize a refined elemental spirit are extremely harsh. Firstly, to seize an already refined elemental spirit, the target must not have reached the solidifying body stage, and the elemental spirit in their possession must be one acquired from the external environment. Elemental spirits cultivated from one's own spiritual root cannot be seized. And once the cultivation reaches the solidifying body stage, and the five elements are unified with the cultivation of the elemental spirit successful, it likewise cannot be seized. Secondly, to seize an already refined elemental spirit, it must be stripped from the body of the person from whom it is taken. During the stripping process, the one being stripped must endure great pain. Moreover, the success rate of this process is extremely low. In nearly 100 cases, it is rare for even one to be successful. If by chance it is successful, and the already refined elemental spirit is stripped from the person, the next step would be to fuse the elemental spirit into oneself. Because the elemental spirit has already undergone one refinement, integrating it into oneself also requires enduring tremendous pain. This pain is almost no less than the pain suffered by the person being stripped during the stripping. And this fusion process will not go smoothly either. The success rate of fusion of an already refined elemental spirit is not high. And in the process of fusion, there are significant risks involved. A slight mishap could lead to grave injuries, and in severe cases, one might even face death. If the deepest layer of the five elements ruins indeed held true elemental spirits of the five elements, then Li Mingwu certainly would not take such risks. Unless the last layer of the five elements ruins simply had no elemental spirits of the five elements. Otherwise, Li Mingwu would definitely not risk doing what he did, perhaps rushing over as soon as the soul tomb opened. Li Mingwu stayed behind in the water element realm. The Taoist dragon alone, if he wished to seize the fire attribute elemental spirit, would have to face both Lin Jing and the senior ancestor of the Yin family. Therefore, right after entering, the Taoist dragon immediately rushed to the central area of the fire realm, intending to prevent the senior ancestor of the Yin family from seizing the fire attribute elemental spirit. However, when the Taoist dragon arrived near the volcano, to his surprise, he found that the two had not yet reached this place. This elated the Taoist dragon unexpectedly. Following this, he immediately began to prepare, planning to seize the fire attribute elemental spirit and leave as soon as possible. Unfortunately, just as he finished preparing and before he could act, both the senior ancestor of the Yin family and Lin Jing had already arrived. Left with no choice, the Taoist dragon had to first conceal himself and wait for an opportunity to move. Only when the senior ancestor of the Yin family began setting up the formation did the Taoist dragon suddenly feel a sense of urgency, as allowing the senior ancestor to complete the formation would mean he could no longer take advantage of the situation. Therefore, the Taoist dragon chose precisely that moment to sabotage the formation, aiming to keep the senior ancestor of the Yin family preoccupied with the molten python. As for Lin Jing, although Lin Jing had indeed shown the cultivation level of the 7th layer of divinity transformation before, being a veteran of several centuries in the divinity transformation stage, the Taoist dragon did not believe Lin Jing was a match for him. Moreover, given what Lin Jing had just said, he likely did not know that Li Mingwu was left in the water element realm. Though Li Mingwu was not present, the Taoist dragon still had to play his part. The Taoist dragon suddenly smiled and then said to Lin Jing, "I really don't know why you would dare to come here alone. Do you really think that by yourself you could be our match?" The Taoist dragon did not specify clearly, but a single "we" was enough to make Lin Jing speculate. After hearing the Taoist dragon's words, Lin Jing also could not help but frown and carefully searched his surroundings, trying to discover any trace of Li Mingwu. Seeing Lin Jing's appearance, the Taoist dragon's mouth curved into a smirk, revealing a mysterious smile. His goal was achieved as long as Li Mingwu did not appear. Lin Jing would have to be constantly on guard. In such a case, if a fight broke out between the two later, Lin Jing inevitably could not fully focus. Then it would be his opportunity. An opportunity to defeat Lin Jing effortlessly. Even though he was confident he could beat Lin Jing, why not take advantage of restricting the opponent's full potential beforehand? This way, he could dispose of Lin Jing quicker and then figure out how to deal with the senior ancestor of the Yin family, Yin Yujiang. Li Mingwu did not appear, and Lin Jing, looking around, also failed to detect any trace of him. Even using his divine sense to scan the area, there was still no discovery. Meanwhile, Dragon Taoist on the opposite side exhibited a confident demeanor, causing Lin Jing to frown and ponder. If Li Mingwu is indeed nearby, then surely I won't be a match for the two of them. But there is no trace of him in the vicinity, so even if Li Mingwu is around, he must be at some distance. Can I strike now while I have the chance and eliminate Dragon Taoist first? As Lin Jing was contemplating, Dragon Taoist at that moment suddenly unleashed a Bagua mirror, a magical treasure. As soon as the Bagua mirror was revealed, it shot out a black and a white energy attacking Lin Jing. Although Lin Jing appeared lost in thought and seemingly unguarded, he had been stealthily monitoring every move of Dragon Taoist. As soon as Dragon Taoist made a move, Lin Jing also reacted immediately. Then, without a word, Lin Jing immediately took out the Great Dream Ancient Mirror he had prepared beforehand. Then, channeling his spiritual power, he activated the Great Dream Ancient Mirror and shone it towards Dragon Taoist. The swiftness of Lin Jing's response startled Dragon Taoist. Seeing that Lin Jing had also summoned a magical treasure, though he was unclear about its grade, he felt a sense of danger. Hence, Dragon Taoist had no choice but to quickly dodge the light emitted by the Great Dream Ancient Mirror while trying to direct the black and white energies towards Lin Jing. Seeing the black and white energies approaching, Lin Jing's response was naturally quick. He burst out at extreme speed. In an instant, Lin Jing disappeared from his spot. The next moment, Lin Jing's figure appeared, unexpectedly right in front of Dragon Taoist. FreeWebNovel.com. Lin Jing charging forward was indeed beyond Dragon Taoist's expectations. Dragon Taoist wanted to evade, but it was too late. Because Lin Jing's Great Dream Ancient Mirror had already enveloped Dragon Taoist. Encased by the Great Dream Ancient Mirror, Dragon Taoist's entire demeanor relaxed, and a struggle flashed through his eyes at first. However, this struggle did not last long. Not even a breath, before Dragon Taoist's eyes began to look bemused. Meanwhile, the Bagua Mirror magical treasure he had employed also ceased its attack, merely floating quietly there. The Great Dream Ancient Mirror truly lived up to its name of a Taoist treasure standard magical treasure. Even someone as strong as Dragon Taoist was now compelled into a dream state. Although Dragon Taoist had fallen into a dream, Lin Jing dared not let his guard down, knowing that Dragon Taoist would likely awaken soon. Thus, after forcing Dragon Taoist into a forceful dream, the next moment, Lin Jing immediately activated his soul spirit power, simultaneously collating the 5 elements power, and then formed a domain around his body. Divine Arts 5 Elements Domain. In order to resolve Dragon Taoist quickly, Lin Jing went all out, not only using the Great Dream Ancient Mirror, but also employing the 5 Elements Domain. As the 5 Elements Domain expanded, it swiftly spread around Lin Jing and soon enveloped Dragon Taoist as well. It was at this moment that Dragon Taoist suddenly awoke. Upon waking, Dragon Taoist immediately realized that he had been bound by the surrounding spiritual power. Even the attempt to mobilize his own spiritual power became extremely difficult. Startled, Dragon Taoist quickly looked around, and upon understanding the scene before him, he burst out in a cold sweat and exclaimed, "This is a domain-type divine art." Realizing what was happening, Dragon Taoist quickly tried to consolidate his internal spiritual power to counter the domain formed by Lin Jing. However, within Lin Jing's domain, the resistance offered by Dragon Taoist was severely limited. Moreover, since Lin Jing had already successfully bound him, he did not hold back any mercy. Next, Lin Jing immediately amassed several streams of 5-colored aurora, attacking Dragon Taoist. Simultaneously, Lin Jing moved directly in front of Dragon Taoist and then threw a punch. Boom! Lin Jing's punch burst forth. Dragon Taoist, despite being on guard, could not mobilize his internal spiritual power due to the domain and the restraint from the 5-colored aurora. FreeWebNovel.com. Just like that, Lin Jing's punch landed squarely on Dragon Taoist Dantian. Suddenly, an immense force of the 5 elements surged through Lin Jing's fist into Dragon Taoist's body, which couldn't withstand and shattered instantly. Even though the body of a divinity transformation cultivator could be destroyed, as long as the soul spirit remained uninjured, there wouldn't be a problem. Simultaneously, feeling the crisis himself, Dragon Taoist also realized his predicament. Within Lin Jing's domain, trying to use spells became exceedingly difficult. Trying to defeat Lin Jing using spells was undoubtedly a fool's dream. Thus, without any hesitation, Dragon Taoist immediately gathered his soul spirit power and surged towards Lin Jing's sea of consciousness. He tried to use his soul spirit power to attack Lin Jing's soul spirit directly. However, Dragon Taoist did not know that Lin Jing had consumed a large amount of Jade Soul algae and had also cultivated in the Tao Transformation Divinity technique. His soul spirit was incredibly formidable, even comparable to the Divinity Transformation Peak. When Dragon Taoist's soul spirit power struck Lin Jing's sea of consciousness, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Logically speaking, Lin Jing needed to utilize his soul spirit power to maintain his domain. Thus, at this time, his sea of consciousness soul spirit power should certainly have been extremely fragile. Unexpectedly, the soul spirit power within Lin Jing's sea of consciousness was even more formidable than his own. At that moment, Dragon Taoist felt an ominous premonition. He immediately tried to control his soul spirit power to escape. Unexpectedly, Lin Jing's soul spirit directly pounced on him. His body already destroyed, and with Lin Jing's divine sense power also extremely formidable, Dragon Taoist was thoroughly panicked at this time. Don't kill me. Dragon Taoist attempted to communicate with Lin Jing. However, Lin Jing turned a deaf ear and continued to stimulate his soul power, trying to erase Dragon Taoist's soul spirit. Dragon Taoist quickly spoke. Li Mingwu is not here. If you do not kill me, I will tell you Li Mingwu's real purpose. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing not only didn't stop, but accelerated the erasing speed. Until the end, seeing that Lin Jing was unmoved, Dragon Taoist knew his own demise was certain and no longer spoke. All the way until his soul spirit was immensely weak and became extremely faint, as if it could dissipate at any moment. It was only then that Lin Jing finally stopped. Afterward, Lin Jing finally asked Dragon Taoist, "Speak, you can now talk about Li Mingwu's matter." However, at this time, Dragon Taoist was immensely weak, seeming as if a gust of wind could disperse him. His soul spirit so weakened that even if Lin Jing did not actively kill him, he would not live much longer. The spiritual body formed from his soul spirit suddenly seemed to have a revelation as he looked at Lin Jing and slowly spoke. "My name is Long Yin. Right from birth, I encountered a great divine art practitioner who helped deduce my destiny, and I found out that in this life, I was destined to be overcome by fire and would not end well. In order to change my own fate, I hesitated not to come to True Dragon Island and sealed my name as Dragon Taoist, all to change my destiny. Originally, I thought I could avoid it, but unexpectedly, it still came to pass in the end." After hearing this, Lin Jing fell silent and didn't speak. Meanwhile, the spiritual body formed from Dragon Taoist's soul spirit, looking at Lin Jing, continued, "Even if you kill me, it won't help. Li Mingwu did not come to this fire element realm. He stayed in the water element realm. I think the next time he appears, he should be at the solidifying body realm. By then, neither you nor Yin Yujiang will be his match." Hearing this, Lin Jing frowned. It doesn't have a metallic attribute 5 elements true spirit, so how could he advance to the solidifying body realm? Upon hearing this, Dragon Taoist suddenly realized something and turned to look at Lin Jing, saying, "Was it you who took away the metallic attribute 5 elements true spirit in the metal realm?" Dragon Taoist, now posing no threat, Lin Jing nodded and said, "Correct. It was indeed I who took it. No wonder we thought it was swallowed by the golden turtle. I didn't expect it to be you. It seems we have always underestimated you. You had planned so deeply. I was merely protecting myself," Lin Jing said. Dragon Taoist fell silent, and then looking at Lin Jing, he continued, "Li Mingwu stayed in the water element realm for Bai-Yi. He wants to snatch the metallic attribute 5 elements true spirit from Bai-Yi. If he does so, he certainly has great confidence. When he advances to the solidifying body realm, just in time for the next appearance of Soul Tomb, he will definitely make a comeback, and by then, nobody can stop Li Mingwu at the solidifying body realm." Dragon Taoist had died. After speaking with Lin Jing, his already fragile soul spirit could no longer hold on and directly dissipated in the fire element realm. At the last moment before his dissipation, he harbored no resentment towards Lin Jing. He simply said that it was his destiny. After the Dragon Taoist had dissipated, Lin Jing collected the magical treasure and space ring left by him, and then left the area. After leaving, Lin Jing quickly flew towards the direction of the volcano. However, just as Lin Jing had approached near the volcano, he spotted the Yin family's ancestor rapidly flying towards him. Behind the Yin family's ancestor, the molten python roared, continuously spewing molten lava towards the Yin family's ancestor. Simultaneously, it slithered like a snake, snaking its way across the ground and rapidly closing the distance to the Yin family's ancestor. It seemed to be chasing him. Seeing Lin Jing, the Yin family's ancestor was surprised at first, then quickly said to Lin Jing, "Run with me, don't worry about that big fellow." The aura from the molten python behind them was extremely frantic. Even though they were still a good distance away, Lin Jing could feel the terrifying aura. If they were to fight with the python in its enraged state now, they would not stand a good chance. Lin Jing didn't know what had provoked the python, causing such rage. Although confused, Lin Jing understood what was important. So, as soon as the Yin family's ancestor finished speaking, Lin Jing immediately turned around and fled with the Yin family's ancestor. "Senior, what's going on?" The Yin family's ancestor replied, "I managed to obtain the fire attribute spirit. That's why that big fellow is relentlessly pursuing me." Hearing that the fire attribute spirit had been obtained, Lin Jing couldn't help but be surprised. Dragon Taoist had acted earlier, breaking the formation, and Lin Jing had thought this attempt might fail. But unexpectedly, the Yin family's ancestor had succeeded. The Yin family's ancestor seemed to notice Lin Jing's confusion and quickly said, "Now is not the time to talk. After we shake off that big guy, I'll explain to you." Lin Jing nodded his head. Then, both of them continued to flee together. This chase continued for 2 days until, finally, the two burst into speed and temporarily shook off the molten python. Only then did they find a chance to conceal their forms and evade the python's pursuit. Although the molten python was of a high rank, it was not particularly fast. Otherwise, Lin Jing and the Yin family's ancestor would have had to confront it directly. After the two hid, the molten python, having lost their trail, searched the vicinity back and forth for a long time. The fire attribute spirit was almost considered its own possession, but it had not expected anyone to dare to target it. Naturally unwilling to give up, the molten python searched for quite a while more. Until much later, it completely failed to sense Lin Jing and the Yin family's ancestors' aura and reluctantly returned. After the molten python had left, the two breathed a sigh of relief and then came out from the rocks where they were hiding. Upon emerging, the Yin family's ancestor took out a fiery red and transparent crystal from his space ring and handed it to Lin Jing. The crystal was transparent, but inside it was a fiery red flame. Although the flame was within the crystal, Lin Jing could feel the terrifying temperature emanating from it. As he handed it over, the Yin family's ancestor said directly, "Here, you're cultivating the Divine Fire Triple Realm. This item will help you upgrade the Divine Fire Triple Realm." Looking at the crystal from the Yin family's ancestor and recalling what he had just said, Lin Jing couldn't help but think of a unique and extremely rare type of crystal. Then he couldn't help but ask, "Is this the blazing Marrow spirit?" The Yin family's ancestor nodded and said, "Yes, this is the blazing Marrow spirit. I found it beneath the fire attribute spirit when I was taking it. Seeing that you're cultivating the Divine Fire Triple Realm, this blazing Marrow spirit is the perfect gift for you, to help you cultivate the third stage of the Divine Fire Triple Realm." On hearing this, Lin Jing was also delighted. He had previously only heard of the blazing Marrow spirit, knowing that it was incredibly difficult to find. Otherwise, with so many cultivators practicing the Divine Fire Triple Realm in the demonic monster sea, someone would have already reached the third stage. Now that he had encountered it here, one couldn't but say his luck was truly good. Lin Jing didn't hold back and promptly took the blazing Marrow spirit and stored it away. Now that he had the blazing Marrow spirit, once he had the time, he could refine it to raise his Divine Fire Triple Realm to the third stage. Lin Jing had heard that the third stage of the Divine Fire Triple Realm was extremely powerful. But due to the rarity of the blazing Marrow spirit, it had been over 1,000 years since anyone had cultivated to this stage of the Divine Fire Triple Realm. Now that he had obtained the blazing Marrow spirit, Lin Jing was determined to cultivate it and see just how powerful the third stage of the Divine Fire Triple Realm could be. After storing away the blazing Marrow spirit, Lin Jing then started to converse with the Yin family's ancestor. Lin Jing first mentioned the matter regarding Dragon Taoist, and then he also relayed some information about Li Mingwu that Dragon Taoist had mentioned to the Yin family's ancestor. After listening, aside from being a bit surprised by Lin Jing's strength, the Yin family's ancestor did not seem to care much about Li Mingwu, and even offered some words of comfort to Lin Jing. Currently, Li Mingwu was trapped in the water element realm and couldn't come out immediately. Having obtained the fire attribute spirit, the Yin family's ancestor, after its refinement, would also soon reach the solidifying body stage. By that time, as a cultivator who had achieved solidifying body, the ancestor of the Yin family was not afraid of Li Mingwu, and as for the words said by Dragon Taoist earlier, it was best to ignore them. After their conversation, they went to search for the Chongyun Yuanlei together. Previously, for the safety of the Chongyun Yuanlei, they had not brought him along for this mission, but had placed him in a safe location. Now, the fire attribute 5 elements true spirit was already in hand, and they also got Lin Jing a piece of blazing Marrow spirit, which could definitely be described as a huge harvest. Now that there was nothing left in the 5 elements fire realm worth waiting for, it was naturally time to leave. Careful not to disturb that molten python, Lin Jing and the Yin family ancestor were very cautious when they returned to the central area of the fire realm. After crossing the center of the fire realm and arriving at the southern edge of the fire realm, the two finally met up with Chongyun Yuanlei. The exit of the 5 elements fire realm was at the very south. After the 3 of them met up, they immediately flew southward. As they were bringing Chongyun Yuanlei with them, their pace was somewhat slower. It took more than half a month for them to fly to the extreme southern part of the fire realm. The 5 elements fire realm was not like the water realm, where fog was everywhere. Without the obstruction of fog, their vision was not affected. Upon reaching the southernmost part of the fire realm, the 3 of them saw the 5 differently colored, sky-reaching beams of the teleportation array. Afterward, the 3 immediately accelerated and flew towards the direction of the light beams. Soon after, they arrived near the light beams, and then they descended from the sky, landing right beside the light beams. Standing before the light beams, Lin Jing couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion. This journey through the 5 elements ruins was finally reaching a critical moment. The last of the 5 elements Earth realm not only had the exit to leave the 5 elements ruins, but the entrance to the ultimate 5 elements territory was also within this Earth realm. Lin Jing's most important goal for this trip was to enter the ultimate 5 elements territory and obtain the subsequent cultivation technique of the immortal 5 elements technique. As for Chongyun Yuanlei, they had already agreed that the first thing upon entering the 5 elements Earth realm would be to help Chongyun Yuanlei leave. After all, with Chongyun Yuanlei's level of cultivation, it was still too dangerous for him here. After his reflection, Lin Jing turned and said to Chongyun Yuanlei, "Inside the 5 elements Earth realm, there is a teleportation array that can lead directly out of the 5 elements ruins. Once we get to the Earth realm and meet up, we'll help you leave first." Excited at the prospect of finally being able to leave, Chongyun Yuanlei nodded again and again. "Thank you, brother. If it hadn't been for you and the elder of the Yin family, I would probably have spent my whole life trapped in the Sea of Strange." Lin Jing waved his hand, indicating that it was unnecessary. At this time, the Yin family ancestor also directly spoke to Lin Jing. "After entering this final 5 elements Earth realm, I don't intend to explore any further. Now that I have obtained the fire attribute 5 elements true spirit, I plan to refine this 5 elements true spirit and then make a push for solidifying body. As for that final 5 elements territory, is the place where the legacy of your 5 elements cultivation technique lies, so you may go on your own." After saying this, the Yin family ancestor continued, "But don't worry, I won't leave for the time being. After you finish receiving the legacy in the final 5 elements territory, I will leave with you." "All right," Lin Jing nodded. Afterward, without too much delay, after their talk, they arrived at the teleportation array corresponding to their tokens. Upon entering the teleportation array, it immediately responded to the tokens in their hands. The light beam of the teleportation array then emitted a dazzling light. Suddenly, the teleportation array began to operate and directly transported Lin Jing and the others away. The five elements Earth realm was a desert filled with yellow sand that stretched to the horizon. Other than the golden sand strewn across the land, only the raging winds filled the sky. As soon as Lin Jing was teleported in, he landed in the scorching desert with the sun blazing down, and the sand that had been scorched by the sun was extremely hot to the touch. Standing atop one of the sand dunes, Lin Jing looked out into the distance. The horizon was endless, making it impossible to discern his position. After observing for a while, Lin Jing rose into the air and flew forward. The first primary task upon arriving in the five elements Earth realm, naturally, was also to determine his position. freewebnov.com. However, within this endless desert, with no landmarks to reference, distinguishing directions became exceptionally difficult. Fortunately, although there were no landmarks on the ground, that scorching sun in the sky could still serve as a guidepost to direct their way. This Earth realm of the five elements was different from other places. The teleportation point here was located at the center of the Earth realm, and naturally, that was also their destination. There should be a powerful mythical beast in that location, just like in the other realms. Therefore, teleporting within the Earth realm was likely to be the most dangerous. Even if they wanted to teleport away, they would first need to find a way to lure the beast away. Fortunately, they already had experience dealing with mythical beasts, so this was not a concern. Luring the mythical beast away so that Changyun Yuanlei could teleport out was something they were still capable of doing. Within the Earth realm of the five elements, Lin Jing flew in one direction for several consecutive days. After flying for 5 or 6 days, Lin Jing finally noticed some slight changes in the surrounding environment. Although it was still a desert, the temperature here seemed much lower than before, and the Earth attribute spiritual energy was also somewhat more sparse. Beyond that, Lin Jing also discovered some strangely shaped rocks that had been weathered by the wind, in addition to the desert. Seeing these, Lin Jing immediately understood. He seemed to be getting further and further away from the core area of the Earth realm. As a result, Lin Jing immediately changed direction and flew towards the way he had come. This time, after flying through the desert for nearly a month, he finally arrived at the central area of the Earth realm of the five elements. The winds and sands were still fierce here, and the Earth attribute spiritual energy was much richer. After arriving, Lin Jing took out the jade token given to him by the elder of the Yin family, and then channeled his spiritual power into it. The jade token flickered with light before extinguishing. A moment later, the light of the jade token flickered again. Clearly, the elder of the Yin family had received Lin Jing's message. Upon seeing the message, Lin Jing felt at ease. Then he continued to fly towards the central area of the Earth realm. The journey was entirely calm. Since entering the Earth realm of the five elements, Lin Jing had not yet been attacked by any mythical beast. Of course, occasional sandstorms that blotted out the sky would arise, but even those were hardly a danger to Lin Jing. This made Lin Jing wonder if there really were no other mythical beasts in the Earth realm of the five elements. Even though he had not encountered any attacks, Lin Jing remained vigilant. In this manner, he moved cautiously while observing, heading towards the core area of the Earth realm of the five elements. Soon, another day went by. Lin Jing was nearing the core area of the Earth realm and had still not encountered any attacks by mythical beasts. He even used observation mode to closely scrutinize the area, but did not spot any mythical beasts. With no mythical beasts in sight, Lin Jing was somewhat relieved and continued onward. This time, in just half a day, Lin Jing met up again with the elder of the Yin family and Changyun Yuanlei. The Yin family elder had found Changyun Yuanlei first, then came here to join Lin Jing. After the three of them united, Lin Jing asked about their situations. After inquiring, he learned that neither of them had encountered any mythical beasts either. No mythical beasts, not even any other danger. This only increased Lin Jing's puzzlement about the earth realm of the five elements. Could it be that there really were no dangers in this realm? Because of this, Lin Jing and the Yin family elder discussed the situation further. However, despite their discussion, they could not come to any conclusive results. After discussing, the three of them continued forward. Only this time, both of them were very cautious. After all, the more abnormal the situation, the more they could not afford to be careless. After another full day, the three of them finally arrived in the very center of the earth realm, the core area, and those several light pillars then entered the trio's vision. Upon seeing the teleportation light pillar, the three of them exchanged glances before continuing to walk toward the direction of the teleportation light pillar. Just like that, the three of them arrived at the teleportation light pillar without any incident. At this time, before their eyes, 5 teleportation formations were laid out in the shape of a pentagram, each at the corners. In the middle, there was another massive formation emitting multicolored light. The surrounding 5 differently colored formations were the teleportation arrays for leaving the 5 elements ruins. Similar to the formations in other realms, one could leave the 5 elements ruins by using the 5 elements command token. The one in the middle emitting multicolored light was the formation that led to the last layer of the 5 elements ruins, the 5 elements territory. This last layer's formation also required the 5 elements command token to activate. Looking at the formations in front of him, Lin Jing couldn't help but wonder. We came here without encountering any danger, which is really strange and unusual. The Yin family ancestor looked around and nodded in agreement. Indeed, something doesn't quite feel right. Changyin Yuanlei then spoke. Elder brother, freebubble.com. I also feel that something is amiss here, as if there's a particularly terrifying danger nearby. After speaking, Changyin Yuanlei turned to Lin Jing and said, My supernatural perception is different from ordinary people, as I have mentioned before, and you, brother, should also be aware of it. I feel that the danger is nearby. Lin Jing nodded upon hearing this. Changyin Yuanlei had indeed said that his perception was different from ordinary people, often allowing him to sense danger in advance. This was also one of the reasons why he had never faced any disasters in the water element realm. Otherwise, with his inherently unlucky constitution, he would have likely died at the hands or fins of sea beasts or other cultivators long ago. Lin Jing wanted to say something else after listening, but just then, he heard the crazy alerts of the system. Warning! And someone extremely dangerous has entered the alert range and is rapidly approaching. Please prepare the host for timely response. Warning! Someone extremely dangerous has entered the alert range and is rapidly approaching. Please prepare the host for timely response. Warning! Someone extremely dangerous has entered the alert range and is rapidly approaching. Please prepare the host for timely response. The sudden alerts from the system shocked Lin Jing. He then hurriedly scanned his surroundings, but found nothing. However, just at that moment, the ground under their feet suddenly started making a thunderous rumble, followed by endless gravel beginning to bounce incessantly. At this point, not just Lin Jing, the other two also sensed the anomaly. The Yin family ancestor immediately activated his spiritual power in preparation. The system's alerts had never been this frantic, clearly indicating that the danger was beyond their capability. Lin Jing quickly said to the Yin family ancestor, Elder, quickly, start the teleportation array. We must leave now. No sooner had Lin Jing spoken than a terrifyingly formidable aura arrived. It was then that Lin Jing looked towards the distance and saw the originally flat desert around them begin to rise. He then looked around again and noticed it was not just in front of them. Even the dunes behind and on either side were also continuously rising. It seemed as though the whole sandy realm of the 5 elements Earth realm was piling up like ocean waves about to engulf the 3 of them. Only the ground near the 3 of them remained still. Seeing this, even the Yin family ancestor couldn't stay calm anymore. Quick, we need to leave now. Although the danger had not yet manifested, the terrifying aura emanating from it let them know. It was definitely beyond their capability to handle. The three of them then hurriedly approached the teleportation array, with the Yin family ancestor and Changyun Yuanlei directly entering the teleportation array, corresponding to their respective command tokens. Lin Jing entered the middle array, emitting multicolored light. As the three of them entered the teleportation array, the rising sand dune walls around them grew taller and even began to obscure the sky. The sand from those dunes also continuously poured down towards their location. However, the location where they had just been, that sand unexpectedly continued to sink. Despite the countless sand pouring around, the sand still did not submerge Lin Jing and the others. It seemed as if there was a bottomless pit under their feet. Simultaneously, the three felt the terrifying aura growing increasingly stronger. They did not hesitate and activated the teleportation array at once. Upon activation, the three teleportation arrays instantly emitted a dazzling light, which enveloped the three of them and then lifted them up with the teleportation light. During the time they were rising with the teleportation array, the sand forming the high walls continued to pour, and slowly the contents inside began to reveal itself. After the falling sand, a wall appeared. This wall was covered with huge spikes, densely packed, too numerous to count. And this wasn't just one side of the wall, but rather it was cylindrical, encasing Lin Jing and the others entirely. Just as Lin Jing was puzzled about why this wall had suddenly appeared, suddenly below their original location, that endless sand also fell through. Below, still were those dense, numerous spikes. Further down was the endless dark abyss. As Lin Jing gazed down into the abyss, suddenly, a strange beast flew out from the dark depths below. This strange beast, several zhang long, resembled a worm, and although it had no wings, it could navigate through the void. Soon, the worm beast arrived next to Lin Jing. Upon its arrival, without uttering a word, it charged directly at the teleportation light column where Lin Jing was located. However, the teleportation array had been activated, and the entire light column was protected by a formation. No matter how fiercely the worm beast collided with it, it could not disturb the teleportation light column. Seeing that it could not affect the light column, the worm beast became very angry. It opened its huge mouth and let out a shrill, piercing screech. It was at this moment Lin Jing noticed. The creature's mouth was lined with rows of spikes, extending deep into its body. Witnessing this scene, Lin Jing immediately understood. And then, with disbelief, he watched as high walls, covered in spikes and bursting forth from the sand, started closing in from all sides. The spikes on these high walls were identical to those Lin Jing had seen within the maw of the worm beast. This meant that they were, at that moment, inside the mouth of a monstrosity. How long the beast was, Lin Jing did not know, but its mouth was vast enough to swallow a large immortal city. From this, it was apparent that the creature was at least hundreds of thousands of zhang in length. Such a massive beast must surely possess an outrageously high level of cultivation. No wonder the system had been frantically alerting them earlier. At that time, Lin Jing and the others were in the teleportation array, and now the surrounding sand had all fallen into the giant maw of the beast, revealing below a gigantic white boulder. And the teleportation array where they stood was right on top of this boulder. Lin Jing had never seen such a white boulder before, but although it was unsupported by the sand beneath, it still hovered in the beast's mouth, clearly no ordinary rock. Then, the teleportation light column shone ever brighter, and the spiky walls around them began to rapidly close in. Certainly, the beast seemed unwilling to let Lin Jing and his companions escape and was preparing to crush them. Although the teleportation array could withstand the smaller worm beast, Lin Jing was not sure it could withstand the swallowing might of a beast large enough to consume an immortal city. Soon, the sky above them began to darken. The gargantuan jaws of the beast closed, and Lin Jing and his companions were fully engulfed within. And at that very moment, the teleportation light column became even more luminous as the teleportation force was fully activated. Knowing he was about to be separated from Lin Jing, Chengyin Yuanlei hurriedly spoke to Lin Jing. "Big brother, if one day you go to the inner sea, you must come find me." But before Chengyin Yuanlei could finish, the teleportation power was triggered. Subsequently, Lin Jing and the others were teleported away. After parting from the Yin family patriarch and Chengyin Yuanlei, Lin Jing was transported to a valley. Upon entering, he immediately felt exhilarated, surrounded by an extremely dense 5 elements power. Such rich 5 elements power, perfectly compatible with his cultivation of the immortal 5 elements technique, made Lin Jing feel very comfortable and pleased in this 5 elements territory. Afterwards, Lin Jing surveyed his surroundings and saw the situation clearly. Having been teleported in, he found himself right above a teleportation array, which was situated right at the very center of the valley. The valley was enclosed by towering mountains, behind which was mist emitting rainbow-colored light, concealing whatever lay beyond. Above the valley floated colorful clouds of spiritual energy in the sky. The only anomaly was a gigantic statue of the 5 elements Ancestor in front of Lin Jing. This statue was identical to the one he had encountered in the main hall of the 5 elements cave mansion. However, this statue was an enlarged version of the one in the 5 elements main hall. Sitting atop the mountain range in front of Lin Jing, it soared nearly 10,000 zhang high, its head almost piercing the colorful clouds in the sky. Seeing such an immense statue, Lin Jing immediately realized that this must be the destination of his journey. Then, without further delay, Lin Jing began walking towards the statue. In this valley, Lin Jing sensed no danger. Therefore, his pace was naturally quite swift. Although the valley was not small, Lin Jing traversed it swiftly and arrived at the base of the statue. Approaching the statue, Lin Jing felt an incredibly rich 5 elements power above his head. Lin Jing looked up, gazing above. The place was right where the statue's overlapping hands were. Previously, in the 5-element divine temple, it was in the hands of the statue that Lin Jing had obtained a 5 elements treasure orb. And that 5 elements treasure orb was still inside Lin Jing's space ring. Thinking of this, Lin Jing stepped directly into the void and then flew towards the statue's overlapping hands. Soon, Lin Jing arrived beside the statue's hands. Standing there, Lin Jing looked inside. He saw the palm covered by a Wu Tsai light barrier, which Lin Jing found extremely familiar. It was identical to the light barrier that enveloped the high platform in the 5-element divine temple before. However, apart from the familiar Wu Tsai light barrier, there was another formation that concealed everything tightly inside. Lin Jing couldn't even see what was inside this light barrier. To be on the safe side, Lin Jing decided to try to open the light barrier first. Afterward, Lin Jing stepped forward, reaching out to touch the light barrier while channeling the 5 elements power. Once he confirmed that the light barrier was identical to the one in the 5-element divine temple, Lin Jing then took out the 5 elements treasure orb from the space ring. Then he held the 5 elements treasure orb in front of him and channeled the immortal 5 elements technique, concentrating the 5 elements power and transmitting it through the orb onto the light barrier. To break the light barrier, there was only this one way. The statue was immensely huge, and its palms were also quite large. Accordingly, the light barrier covering the area was much larger, and to open this light barrier required a lot more effort. This time, Lin Jing spent 2 days and eventually thinned the Wu Tsai light barrier until it was about to give way. Seeing the timing was ripe, Lin Jing then took a couple of steps back. He then gathered the 5 elements power again, channeling it through the orb into the light barrier before him. Just like the last straw that broke the camel's back, the final bit of spiritual power that entered caused the entire light barrier to collapse. As the light barrier fell apart, the formation that had been concealing it also seemed to lose its effect, starting to disintegrate. Within less than half an hour, the entire light barrier completely dissipated, and the formation, apparently due to the loss of support from the light barrier, dissipated on its own. After the formation faded, Lin Jing finally saw the scene inside. A small courtyard, a big tree, and a thatched hut, plus the spirit fields that were partially concealed by the formation outside. That was all within the palm. The courtyard was enclosed by bamboo fences, surrounded by long-abandoned spirit fields. However, one of the spirit fields was covered by a formation, hiding any view of the inside. Inside the courtyard was a large tree and a thatched hut. The thatched hut wasn't anything special. It resembled the one Lin Jing had lived in when he worked as a spirit farmer for the Qingyuan sword sect. It even looked more dilapidated compared to that thatched hut. Only the big tree next to the hut made Lin Jing pause in awe, because that big tree was a 5-element spirit tree. It was the very 5 elements spirit tree Lin Jing had seen on Immortal Crossing Island. This 5-element spirit tree was now lush and thriving, although the 5-star spirit fruits had yet to appear on it. Seeing this 5-element spirit tree, Lin Jing knew this place was no ordinary location. Now that the Wucai light barrier had been opened, and the aura of the 5-element spirit tree had escaped from inside, but Lin Jing still did not act recklessly. Instead, he extended his divine sense directly into the area to explore. After probing with divine sense, Lin Jing thoroughly surveyed the place. Apart from the inside of the thatched hut and the spirit field concealed by the formation, Lin Jing couldn't detect anything else. The other areas were laid bare under the investigation of Lin Jing's divine sense. No danger was found. Freebnull.com. Seeing no immediate danger, Lin Jing steadied his mind, looked towards the thatched hut in front, and then walked towards it. All the way there, he made his way unhurriedly through the long-abandoned spirit fields to the small courtyard in front. But just as Lin Jing stepped into the courtyard, a voice came. "You finally arrived. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Hearing this voice, Lin Jing was at first stunned. Then he stood directly at the entrance to the yard, no longer moving forward, all the while remaining cautiously alert. No matter what, he hadn't expected that there would still be someone in this small courtyard. As Lin Jing remained on guard, that voice came again. "You needn't be afraid. I am merely a divine sense left behind, specially meant to assist you in obtaining the legacy of the 5 elements ancestor, and I will not harm you. Besides, I am just a divine sense. Without any power, I can't even open this door, let alone harm you." Hearing these words, Lin Jing stared intently at the thatched cottage before him. The cottage could not be probed with divine sense, so Lin Jing naturally could not inspect the specific situation inside. After pondering for a moment, Lin Jing decided to go forward and try. At the same time, he was prepared. If he found anything amiss, he would immediately enter the Tao system space. After thinking it over, Lin Jing stepped forward slowly, walking toward the thatched hut in the courtyard. Upon reaching the front of the hut, Lin Jing paused for a moment, then reached out and placed his hand on the door of the hut. Creak! With just a gentle push, the door opened in response. As the door to the hut opened, the inside looked like a completely ordinary room with nothing out of the ordinary. Lin Jing also saw inside the smiling elder sitting at the table facing him. This elder, he was identical to the statue, but he was not a solid entity. Rather, he was in a state of phantasm. Seeing the elder, Lin Jing couldn't help but be slightly stunned. "You? Could it be that you're the 5 elements ancestor?" After regaining his composure, Lin Jing spoke and asked the elder. The elder gave a slight smile and then spoke. "You could say that, and yet not. I'm just a divine sense he left behind, merely to help you undergo the test to see if you qualify to obtain the entire legacy of the 5 elements ancestor." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing was taken aback. Then he asked the embodiment of the 5 elements ancestor. "To obtain the latter half of the immortal 5 elements technique, are qualifications needed as well?" The embodiment of the 5 elements ancestor nodded. "Yes, qualifications are needed, but now." As he said this, the 5 elements ancestor looked at his own body and then let out a sigh. Alas! Now, whether these qualifications are needed or not is meaningless. Lin Jing, puzzled, then bowed and asked the 5 elements ancestor, "Senior, I am still somewhat confused. Would the senior please elaborate? The five elements ancestor nodded and continued. Actually, it is like this. Anyone who enters the five elements territory and cultivates the immortal five elements technique has the opportunity to receive the legacy left by the five elements ancestor. However, to receive the entire legacy, certain conditions are required. If the conditions are not met, then one can only obtain the latter half of the immortal five elements technique and cannot inherit the entire legacy. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing suddenly understood and then bowed to ask, Senior, if one wishes to obtain the entire legacy, may I know what conditions are required? Freeweb novel, C. Sigma. The divine sense of the five elements ancestor then said, to receive the entire legacy of the five elements ancestor, one's spirit root aptitude must reach the level of the five elements heavenly spirit root. Five elements heavenly spirit root. Lin Jing couldn't help but take a sharp intake of breath. Is there such a spirit root in the world? As everyone knows, the heavenly spirit root is the pinnacle of a cultivator's spiritual root, and only mono-elemental spiritual roots can reach the level of a heavenly spirit root. The thought of possessing a spiritual root that contained all five elements and simultaneously achieving the terrifying level of a heavenly spirit root was unthinkable. Lin Jing had indeed never heard of such a person existing. The five elements ancestor nodded and said, yes, he was born with the five elements heavenly spirit root. Upon finishing, the divine sense of the five elements ancestor looked towards Lin Jing and then said, I see that your spiritual root has already reached the level of a true five-element spirit root, right? Lin Jing replied, I don't mean to conceal it from the senior. The reason I have attained my current level is actually because I have consumed elixir medicine that enhances one's aptitude. The five elements ancestor heard that and nodding slightly. That is inevitable. Actually, if one could enhance one's own spirit root aptitude to the level of the five elements heavenly spirit root through other means, that would also be acceptable. After all, such an exceptional aptitude like his is rare, with no one before and likely no one after. Of course, I'm also not sure if, after him, there has been anyone else with such exceptional aptitude. None. A naturally born five elements heavenly spirit root aptitude. I have never heard of it. Lin Jing stated emphatically. After speaking, Lin Jing couldn't help but look at the divine sense of the five elements ancestor and then said, Senior, if that's the case with my aptitude, I am unable to inherit your entire legacy. The five elements ancestor looked toward Lin Jing, then helplessly shook his head. Actually, you should have been most suitable for inheriting his legacy. It's just a pity that you have arrived far too late. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing looked at the divine sense of the five elements ancestor, puzzled, and asked, What does the senior mean by this? The divine sense of the five elements ancestor gazed at Lin Jing and explained. His legacy is divided into three parts. First, the latter part of the immortal five elements technique. This latter part was formulated from combining his own cultivation technique with boundless effort just before his final ascension to immortality. If cultivated to the zenith, one can ascend directly to immortality. Second is a five elements golden core containing a portion of his own cultivation. If you refine it, your cultivation can be greatly improved. Especially for you who also cultivate the immortal five elements technique, refining the five elements golden core can not only enhance your cultivation, but may even increase your understanding of the five elements power. This third one, it is a life-defying fruit tree that can enhance one's spirit root aptitude. That life-defying fruit tree is in the spirit field outside, enveloped by the formation. Lin Jing, upon hearing this, hurriedly turned around to look at the spirit field outside. Who would have thought, inside that spirit field, there's actually a life-defying fruit tree growing? At this moment, the spiritual thought of the five elements ancestor also looked towards the outside spirit field and then spoke. Actually, with your current spirit root aptitude, just by consuming one life-defying fruit, you could reach the level of a 5 elements heavenly spirit root. It's just a pity. Even if I wanted to give you that life-defying fruit, with my current power, I can no longer help you open that formation. If only you could have come here 100,000 years earlier. After hearing this, Lin Jing's face grew more puzzled. However, before he could ask again, the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor spoke again, explaining to Lin Jing. The inheritance I've left here totals 3 items. Apart from the successive cultivation techniques of the immortal 5 elements technique, the other 2 items require opening the formation to be retrieved. I am but a spiritual thought, yet my power also comes from the main body. The stronger the main body, the stronger my power. Although I haven't seen him since he ascended to immortality, there has always been a connection between me and the main body. Roughly hundreds of thousands of years ago, I noticed that the main body's power seemed to be weakening, and correspondingly, my power began to decline as well. Had you arrived 100,000 years earlier with my power, I could have helped you gain all 3 items of the inheritance. But you have come too late. With my current power, at most I can help you obtain the 5 elements golden core. But as for the life-defying fruit, with the remaining strength I have now, I cannot help you get it. Lin Jing, taken aback after hearing this, then looked at the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor with a touch of astonishment and said, Elder, do you mean that you want to help me get the inheritance without any qualifications or tests required? The spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor slightly nodded. Yes, I can feel that something unexpected seems to have happened to the main body. His power is declining continuously. With the rate of this decline, I fear I won't last until the next person arrives. So, I plan to pass on all of the inheritances left by the main body to you. After all, you're also a person of the main body's inheritance, and you have the right to inherit these legacies. To entrust these to you is also to fulfill my mission. Lin Jing, upon hearing these words, fell silent. The spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor continued. I only hope that once you've received the inheritance, you will quickly improve your cultivation after leaving and ascend to the immortal realm to find out what has happened to the main body. If possible, please try to help the main body. But if it is unfeasible, then so be it. After all, with your strength, even if you truly ascend to the immortal realm, you likely won't be able to do much. Sigh. Having said that, the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor sighed again. Although this spiritual thought appeared as a phantom and its body was semi-transparent, Lin Jing could still see the decline in his eyes. Looking at the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor, Lin Jing felt a sense of solemnity, and then he spoke directly. Elder, rest assured, if I am fortunate enough to ascend to the immortal realm, I will certainly seek out the Elder's main body and try to help it through this calamity. After hearing this, the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor looked at Lin Jing and nodded with a flicker of relief in his gaze. You have my gratitude. After he finished speaking, the spiritual thought of the 5 elements ancestor's eyes gradually firmed, and then, pointing to a side room of the house, he said to Lin Jing, Go inside and bring out the box that's placed there. Lin Jing, hearing this, turned to look towards the side room, and then walked towards it. Upon entering the side room, Lin Jing immediately saw the box of unknown material placed on the table. The box wasn't big, but it was enveloped by a layer of Wu psiluminescence. Then, Lin Jing directly picked up the box, and the moment he touched the box, the Wu psiluminescence on it flowed, forming a layer of protective power that blocked out Lin Jing's spiritual power from the outside. Just from this surge of power, Lin Jing knew, despite it being a mere box, the luminescence on the box was something he currently was unable to unravel. Afterward, Lin Jing, holding the box, came before the 5 elements ancestor's divine consciousness. It wasn't until Lin Jing returned that the 5 elements ancestor's divine consciousness opened its mouth and said, Originally, this trivial matter wouldn't have required your intervention. However, influenced by my physical form, my power has dwindled substantially, and I have begun to fade. Now, I can't even lift this box." Having finished speaking, the 5 elements ancestors' divine consciousness directly addressed Lin Jing. "Come, watch me." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing turned his gaze toward the 5 elements ancestors' divine consciousness. But in the next moment, a 5-colored light flickered in the eyes of the 5 elements ancestors' divine consciousness, and Lin Jing, who was looking into its eyes, suddenly felt an influx of countless pieces of information pouring into his sea of awareness. Faced with this vast trove of information, Lin Jing didn't dare to neglect it and quickly began to absorb it. As this information flowed in, a voice also entered Lin Jing's sea of awareness. "This is the latter half of the immortal 5 elements technique. I am transmitting it into your sea of awareness. Don't be distracted and understand it well. Next, I will help you open that box containing the 5 elements golden pill. After the box is opened, my task will also be considered complete, and the remaining power I possess will be utterly exhausted. At that time, I will dissipate, and you needn't worry. This is my mission." Additionally, once you awaken, you can directly consume the 5 elements golden pill, which will assist you in rapidly advancing your cultivation. Given your current level of cultivation, consuming the 5 elements golden pill should bring you within reach of the Tao integration stage, if not reaching it entirely. While cultivating, you can do so under the 5 elements spirit tree, which will enable you to enter the solidifying body stage more quickly. Furthermore, you can also absorb the various 5 elements spiritual forces within the entire valley to integrate into your body. After I dissipate, there will no longer be another successor coming to this place. Everything within this valley will belong to you, and you needn't have any concerns about taking it.